Let me make something abundantly clear right now. The world owes you nothing. It doesn't owe you sympathy. It doesn't owe you applause. It doesn't owe you an explanation. And while you're waiting for someone to validate your potential, somebody else with less talent, fewer resources, and more focus is out there winning. You were not born into a guarantee. You were born into a possibility. Life didn't sign a contract promising you fairness, applause, or smooth roads. Somewhere along the way, we bought into the lie that struggle deserves sympathy and effort alone deserves reward. But effort is not the currency of success. Results are. And before you can change your world, you must first take full responsibility for everything in it. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to say you didn't have the right mentor, the right parents, the right start, or the right connections, and maybe that's true. But staying in that mindset won't move you forward. It will only keep you bound to your limitations. Blame is bondage. And until you let it go, you'll stay exactly where you are. You will never rise above what you refuse to own. When you keep attributing your shortcomings to outside forces, you give away your greatest power, your ability to choose, to change, and to conquer. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a product of your decisions. And every decision you make today is either building your dream or building your excuse. There's a reason why accountability is uncomfortable, because it forces you to face yourself, not the version of you that shows up on social media, not the version that others admire, but the raw, unfiltered, undisciplined version of you that shows up when no one is watching. That version is where transformation begins. If you keep waiting for someone to fix your life, you will wait forever. You'll get bitter, you'll get tired, you'll convince yourself the system is broken, when really you've just refused to take the wheel. Your life is not a ride, you are the driver. And the moment you stop acting like a passenger is the moment everything changes. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's not about self-punishment. It's about power. When you say, I am where I am because of me, you don't collapse, you rise. Because now, if it's your fault, then it's also your fight. And if it's your fight, then it can be your victory. No one is coming to hand you the blueprint. No one is required to make it easier for you. And the sooner you stop waiting for life to be fair, the sooner you start learning how to win, even when it isn't. That's the mindset of champions. That's what separates those who endure from those who excel. The most dangerous thing you can do is outsource your destiny to people who don't have to live with the consequences. Friends, family, systems, schools, none of them are responsible for what you do with your 24 hours. That weight falls on you. And yes, it's heavy, but it's also holy. It's the burden of greatness. You don't get to pick your starting point, but you absolutely get to pick your strategy. So stop mourning your origin and start mastering your outcome. You were not made to be pitied. You were made to be powerful. And power only comes to those who are willing to own their position and push forward anyway. Growth starts the moment you say, I'm done blaming. That one sentence can change your entire life. Because when you stop pointing outward, you start building inward. You realize that you've been waiting on help when really you've been holding the answer in your hands the whole time. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you never fail. It means when you fail, you don't lie down and cry. You get up and calibrate. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what am I going to do about it? That's what turns obstacles into opportunities. People who rise aren't more talented. They're more committed. They've decided to run toward the challenge instead of running from it. They understand that responsibility is not a burden, it's a privilege. It means the outcome of your life is not random. It's not luck. It's deliberate. When you take full ownership of your life, you stop looking for shortcuts. You start building the foundation the hard way, the right way. You trade comfort for character. You trade convenience for consistency. And in doing so, you start building something that actually lasts. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You need you to believe in you. And that belief doesn't come from hype. It comes from evidence. Every day you show up. Every day you push past resistance. Every day you say, I will, even when you don't feel like it. That's where belief is born. Excuses might make you feel better in the moment, but they rob you of progress in the long term. Every time you let an excuse take the wheel, you delay your destiny. You exchange your future for a false sense of relief. But when you reject the excuse and embrace the responsibility, you unlock a whole new level of life. There's a version of you on the other side of accountability that's sharper, stronger, wiser, and more impactful. But you'll never meet that version if you keep hiding behind your story. It's time to rewrite that story with actions, not words. With ownership, not outrage. You've got something inside you that the world needs. But the world won't wait for you to get ready. It's moving forward, with or without your participation. So the question isn't whether life will be hard. The question is whether you're going to get harder to beat. And that starts the moment you decide to take control of your life. And no, taking responsibility won't make the path easier, but it will make you stronger. And when you become stronger, the path stops intimidating you. You stop shrinking around problems and start solving them. You stop hoping for easier circumstances and start becoming a more capable person. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall standing between you and your potential. Excuses feel safe, they feel justified, but they are nothing more than well-worded lies that protect your comfort zone and sabotage your growth. Every time you say, I can't because, you are choosing temporary relief over permanent progress. And the truth is, the longer you live in your excuse, the longer you delay your elevation. We've all done it. We've all had moments where we've said, I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'm not ready. Or it's not the right season. But look around. Someone with less time, more responsibilities, and more adversity is doing what you say you can't. Why? Because they stopped making excuses and started multiplying effort. Excuses make you sound smart to the wrong audience, mainly yourself. You convince yourself that your reasons are logical, even noble. But logic doesn't move mountains, action does. And while you're defending your limits, someone else is defying theirs. Not because it's easier for them, but because they've trained their mind to fight through resistance instead of surrender to it. You don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another strategy video or a perfect plan. What you need is the discipline to execute on what you already know. Most people aren't stuck because they don't know what to do. They're stuck because they're not doing what they already know works. Excuses are subtle. They don't shout, they whisper. They show up disguised as wisdom. Be realistic. Take it slow. You've tried before and failed. But what they're really saying is stay small, stay safe, stay silent. And the more you listen, the more your dreams shrink to fit your fears. There is no shortcut around effort. There is no version of your vision that gets built without labor. Success demands sweat. It demands focus. It demands consistency. And every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, you prove that you're more committed to your future than your feelings. You can't expect extraordinary outcomes from half-hearted actions. If you want uncommon results, you have to apply uncommon discipline. That means doing the work even when nobody claps for you. That means pushing past your mood and into your mission. Because feelings fade, but purpose endures. The reason most people don't break through is not because they lack talent. It's because they keep stopping. They work when it's convenient. They show up when it's easy. But greatness is forged in the moments you could have quit and didn't. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Effort compounds. One day of focus won't change your life, but one day, repeated with discipline, will. You don't rise by accident, you rise by design, and that design is drawn in the daily decisions you make when nobody is watching. The grind isn't glamorous, but it's necessary. Nobody is keeping score for you. There is no external referee handing out rewards for showing up. The real reward is in who you become through the process. You gain clarity, strength, and confidence by doing the thing, especially when you don't feel like doing it. You can't outsource your hustle. You can't delegate your discipline. This is your work, your dream, your responsibility. The moment you stop outsourcing your accountability is the moment your results start accelerating. The process is painful, but the progress is priceless. You are not too busy, you're just under-prioritized. Time isn't your enemy, indecision is. The excuse of no time is often a cover for no focus. You will never find the time. You must make the time. And the moment you do, you take back control of your life. There is no perfect moment to begin. There's only now. Waiting for inspiration is another form of procrastination. Winners don't wait to feel like it. They act their way into feeling, and when the momentum builds, motivation follows, not the other way around. You don't get credit for thinking about it. You don't level up by planning in your head. Execution is the separator. Vision without action is hallucination. Stop romanticizing your ideas and start materializing your results. The marketplace doesn't pay for intentions, it pays for outcomes. There will always be a reason to delay, always something that seems more urgent. But those distractions are designed to test your dedication. If your dream can be derailed by discomfort, it's not a dream, it's a wish. Effort is the currency that turns your wish into a reality. The truth is, most people would rather be comfortable than committed. But comfort never built empires. Comfort never created legacies. Comfort never changed the world. Only effort, sustained over time, produces transformation. You don't need a new path. You need a new level of commitment to the path you already started. People may not see your grind, but they will see your glow when the results start to show. Your breakthrough is on the other side of your excuses. Your next level isn't waiting on permission. It's waiting on pressure. Apply the pressure, and the resistance will bend. When you silence the excuse, you unlock energy you didn't even know you had. You realize the limits were never real. They were self-imposed. And once you shut down the noise in your head and turn up the volume on your hustle, everything begins to shift. Everyone has a story. Everyone has pain. Everyone has been through something that could have stopped them. Struggles are universal, but results are uncommon. And the difference between those who rise and those who remain is simple. Some let the struggle define them, while others use it to refine them. The world listens to those who produce, not just those who persevere. Talking about your pain may earn you sympathy, but producing results earns you respect. It's not that your struggle doesn't matter, it's that your struggle alone isn't enough. Pain is part of the process, but it is not the product. No one is rewarded for what they've endured. They're rewarded for what they've built in spite of it. There's a dangerous comfort in telling your story over and over again without evolving past it. When you keep reliving the hardship, it becomes your identity. But you were never meant to be defined by what broke you. You were meant to rise from it and build something greater. Struggle is your starting point, not your final statement. You don't need the world to understand what you've been through. You need to show the world what you've done with it. Pain doesn't give you permission to pause forever. What gives your pain power is when you turn it into purpose. When you stop talking about what happened and start showing what came out of it. Results are the proof. They're the evidence that your pain had a purpose, that your fight wasn't wasted. People can debate your emotions, your experiences, your mindset, but they can't argue with your results. When you produce, you silence critics. When you build, you break the narrative. You can't live in two places, struggle and success. One must give way to the other. Either you remain anchored in what went wrong, or you start creating what's possible. You can grieve your past, but you can't grow there. At some point, you have to stop mourning what hurt you and start mastering what's in your hand. The strongest people you see today are not the ones who never struggled. They're the ones who refuse to let the struggle become their excuse. They turn pain into performance, setbacks into strategy, and heartbreak into hustle. They don't hide their scars. They wear them as reminders of what they survived and what they've built since. No one applauds for what almost happened. No one gets rewarded for trying hard. We live in a world that measures value through impact. And impact only comes when you convert effort into excellence and struggle into structure. That requires work, not just words. You may have every reason to quit. You may have been dealt an unfair hand. But what makes your life meaningful is not what happened. It's what you do next. You can't control every storm, but you can control whether you build during the rain or wait for the sunshine. Results create clarity. They speak when your emotions can't. They reveal whether you've been building or just busy, whether you've been growing or just going in circles. You don't need to convince people with paragraphs when your life starts delivering proof. Every hour spent complaining is an hour not spent creating. Every moment you relive the hurt without learning from it is a moment you stay stuck. Struggles are not your identity, they're your initiation. They're what introduce you to your deeper self, your untapped resolve, your unspoken greatness. People may empathize with your struggle, but they will follow your strength. And strength is seen in what you've overcome and what you've constructed. It's not enough to survive. You must thrive. You must produce. You must create results that reflect the greatness buried beneath the rubble. Progress speaks louder than pity. Growth shouts louder than grief. Success doesn't ignore your struggle. It honors it by not letting it win. Every result you achieve is a declaration that you are no longer defined by what hurt you, but by what healed through you. We live in a world where people post their problems but hide their productivity. Don't fall into that trap. Let your struggle push you, not post for you. Let it drive you into deeper levels of focus, discipline, and commitment. Struggles make noise, but results make impact. When you start producing, you no longer have to explain. Your work becomes your voice. Your consistency becomes your campaign. People start paying attention not because you shouted, but because you showed up and followed through. The real currency is consistency. There's a power in showing up day after day with no applause, no recognition, and no confirmation, only faith that your effort is building something real. Because when the results finally come, they speak louder than any story you could have told along the way. Your struggle may have started the journey, but your results are what finish it. They're what turn the chapter into a testimony. They're what transform your pain into purpose. And until you start producing, your story is just a sentence with no period, no breakthrough, no completion. We live in a noisy world, a world where opinions come faster than opportunities and validation is chased harder than vision. Every scroll, every swipe, every headline tries to pull your attention away from the one thing that matters most, your personal mission. The truth is, most people never become great, not because they lack potential, but because they keep looking outward when the power has always been inward. Distraction is the silent killer of dreams. It doesn't show up as chaos, it shows up as comfort. It looks like watching others instead of working on yourself. It feels like reacting to what's happening around you instead of building what's inside you. You can't build focus when your energy is scattered across 1,000 digital voices. The people who win in life are not the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do the right things with the most focus. You're not supposed to run every race. You're not supposed to answer every critic. Your job isn't to compete with others. It's to complete what was placed inside of you before the world even had a say. Comparison is a liar. It makes you believe you're behind when really you're just on your own track. It makes you question your pace, your progress, your process. And if you let it, it'll rob you of the one thing that fuels excellence, your internal conviction, that deep, unshakable belief in your purpose that doesn't need applause to feel alive. External noise will always be there. It will always try to seduce you with trends, titles, and temporary success. But nothing sustainable comes from the outside in. It's always built from the inside out. When you chase approval, you forfeit authenticity. And in a world full of copies, your power lies in being original. You don't need to be seen to be valuable. You don't need to be followed to be effective. In fact, some of your most powerful seasons will be the ones nobody sees. The quiet grind, the lonely nights, the decisions made in silence. That's where you develop the kind of strength that doesn't break when life pushes back. It's easy to look around and wonder why you're not where they are, why their results came faster, why their platform is bigger. But the moment you let their journey become your measurement, you lose sight of your assignment. You weren't built to follow. You were built to build. And builders don't compete with neighbors. They focus on their own foundation. Focus isn't just about time, it's about energy. It's about directing your full attention to what matters and starving what doesn't. You only have so much creative energy in a day. If you give it to drama, doubt, or distractions, don't be surprised when your purpose feels starved. You'll never unlock your full potential while your mind is tied up in what others think. You'll never master your craft while chasing clout. You're not here to go viral, you're here to go vertical, to rise in purpose, to elevate your thinking, to develop a depth that can't be duplicated. Internal focus requires discipline. It demands that you say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. It means protecting your peace, guarding your schedule, and being unapologetic about your priorities. You can't be for everybody and effective at the same time. The more inward your focus, the more outward your impact. Because when you master what's inside, your thoughts, your emotions, your direction, you stop wasting time reacting and start investing time creating. Creation is born from clarity. And clarity can only come when the noise dies down and the inner voice rises up. You have to be willing to unplug from the world to plug into yourself, to disconnect from what's trending and reconnect with what's timeless. Your gift, your call, your conviction. These things aren't cultivated in public. They're refined in private, where no one claps, but heaven listens. You'll always have a reason to check in on what others are doing, but every time you do, you check out of your own process. Progress demands presence. And presence can't exist where your mind is divided between your assignment and someone else's applause. External distractions, will dress themselves as research, motivation, or inspiration. But make no mistake, they are detours. Every moment spent watching is a moment not spent building. Every minute you analyze someone else's journey is a minute stolen from your own. Real transformation happens in isolation, not in loneliness, but in focus. When your eyes are no longer wandering, your mind becomes sharper, your steps become clearer, and your life starts aligning with purpose in a way that's too precise to be accidental. You don't need more opinions. You need more obedience to the voice inside that says, keep going. That voice doesn't scream, it whispers. And the only way to hear it is to turn down the world and turn up your awareness. Your next level won't come from the crowd, it will come from clarity. Every major leap forward you're looking for already exists in you. It's just buried under too much noise. You don't need more followers. You don't need more applause. You need focus. Laser-like, undivided, ruthless focus on what you were put here to do. No matter how long it takes or who claps for you, distractions will always cost you more than you think. They don't just steal your time, they steal your destiny. But when you build from within, when you feed your spirit more than you feed your screen, when you develop yourself in the dark, you begin to carry a light the world can't ignore. Motivation feels good. It's the spark that lights the fire, the emotion that gets you out of bed with big dreams and bold declarations. But motivation is temporary. It fades with your mood. It vanishes when the struggle hits. That's why people who rely on motivation rarely finish what they start. Because when motivation dies, so does their momentum. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't wait for inspiration. Discipline shows up when you're tired. It shows up when you're discouraged. It shows up when everything in you says stop, but you've trained yourself to keep going anyway. Discipline is the muscle that carries you. Anybody can start, anybody can post a goal, make a promise, or shout about their dreams when they feel good. But it's not the starting line that defines champions, it's the finish. And only discipline will get you to the finish. Because discipline doesn't operate in hype, it operates in habit. It's not emotional, it's foundational. Motivation is emotional fuel. It burns hot and fast. Discipline is like a slow-burning engine. It may not be flashy, but it will take you the distance. If you want long-term success, you have to stop chasing emotional highs and start building the habits that work regardless of how you feel. Most people don't have a talent problem, they have a consistency problem. They start strong and fade out. They get inspired, make plans, and then fall back into their patterns because they never built discipline. They were counting on motivation to do the heavy lifting, not realizing motivation was never meant to carry the weight. Discipline isn't exciting, but it's effective. It's waking up early to work when no one's watching. It's choosing growth over comfort, practice over praise, repetition over recognition. Discipline doesn't wait to feel right, it just does what's right. And that is what separates the average from the excellent. When you look at the people who are truly successful, those who have mastered their craft, built something that lasts, and impacted lives, it's not because they were always motivated. It's because they were consistent. They trained their minds to lead their emotions. They showed up regardless of the season, the storm or the struggle. Discipline builds something motivation can't. Character. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a mindset. It rewires your identity. It makes you the kind of person who can be trusted with a vision. Because when you're disciplined, your word means something. You don't just speak it, you live it. Motivation may give you a good day, but discipline gives you a good life. Discipline leads to habits. Habits lead to results. Results reinforce belief, and belief sustains progress. It's a cycle, but it starts with discipline. Not feeling like it, not waiting for it, doing it. People often say they need to get motivated again, but the truth is they don't need another pump-up speech. They need structure. They need a system. They need a routine that operates no matter what. Because if your success is tied to how inspired you feel, your destiny is tied to chance, not choice. Discipline is your internal contract. It's the agreement you make with yourself to move regardless of emotion. It's what keeps your feet moving when your mind is full of doubt. It's what builds your credibility with yourself. Because once you trust your own word, you become unstoppable. Now, motivation can make you look good in the moment. Discipline will make you strong for a lifetime. The things that look boring to others, waking up early, studying, training, sacrificing, are the things that sharpen your edge and stretch your capacity. They create a version of you that can handle pressure, lead others, and build things that endure. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your habits. And those habits are built by discipline. You want to be excellent? Practice when you don't feel like it. Show up when it's inconvenient. Work when it's hard. Discipline doesn't ask you how you feel. It asks you what you value. Too many people wait for the perfect time, the right mood, the big wave of energy. But champions don't wait. They create rhythm through routine. They don't chase emotion, they chase execution. They understand that it's not about the fire you feel in a moment, but the flame you build over time through repetition. Discipline creates freedom. The more disciplined you are, the less you're controlled by distractions. You move with purpose. You act with clarity. You get things done while others are waiting for the perfect moment. You understand that mastery is boring, but it's in the boredom that greatness is built. You don't need more hype. You need more habits. You don't need louder motivation. You need deeper commitment. The results you want are not buried in inspiration. They are buried in your daily discipline, in the things nobody sees, but everyone eventually feels. Every excuse is a threat to your discipline. Every delay weakens your decision. If you let emotion lead, you'll live in cycles. But if you let discipline lead, you'll build systems, and systems are stronger than seasons. They work when life doesn't. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. It's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but it works. It's what turns I want to into I will. It's what takes a wish and turns it into a weapon. It's the difference between a spark and a legacy. There's a strength that comes from silence, an unshakable resolve that doesn't crave attention, doesn't beg for validation, and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. In a culture obsessed with showing, sharing, and shouting, real builders work differently. They don't announce every step. They don't seek praise. They build in silence and let the results speak. With a voice no applause can match, when you're truly focused on your purpose, noise becomes a distraction. The praise feels good, but it's empty if it comes before the work is complete. The opinions, the comments, the likes, they create a false sense of progress. They make you feel like you've done something just because people are watching. But real success doesn't need an audience, it just needs action. Silence protects the vision. Not everyone will understand where you're going, and not everyone needs to. The more you share, the more you expose your dreams to doubt, distraction, and disbelief. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep your head down and work while the world sleeps on you. Building in silence doesn't mean hiding. It means focusing. It means you're too locked in to explain, too committed to debate, too serious about your goals to entertain small talk about them. You know that talking about your plans doesn't build them, work does. Time does. Success has a sound, but it's not the sound of bragging, boasting, or broadcasting. It's the sound of consistent footsteps. Quiet mornings, late nights, missed parties, sacrificed comfort. It's the rhythm of repetition and the hum of hustle. It's not loud, but it's powerful. When you work in silence, your progress becomes your announcement. You stop needing people to believe in you because your results become undeniable. Your actions speak louder than your affirmations. And those who once doubted will have no choice but to watch what they can't deny. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one doing the most. Real power doesn't need to scream. Real success doesn't demand attention, it earns it. When you build something real, something lasting, something that comes from vision and grind, it speaks for itself. It makes noise long after you've gone quiet. There's a discipline that grows in the dark when nobody's watching. And you keep showing up. You train your mind to be stronger than your emotions. You build resilience. You sharpen your character. You stop needing recognition to do what you were called to do. That's the kind of person who wins long term. Social media will tempt you to perform, to post your progress prematurely, to seek applause before you've built anything worthy of it. But real builders resist that urge. They know the foundation must be solid before the world ever sees the frame. They don't build for attention. They build for legacy. The most successful people are the ones you didn't see coming. They didn't advertise their grind. They didn't broadcast their struggle. They worked while others watched. They developed in the dark, and then one day, the results showed up so loud that silence was no longer an option. Silence keeps you humble. When you build quietly, you learn to fall in love with the process, not the praise. You stop chasing credit and start chasing excellence. You stop measuring progress by claps and start measuring it by consistency. That shift changes everything. Every brick laid in silence is a seed planted in purpose. And eventually those seeds sprout, they grow, they break through the surface with strength that's unshakable because it was built in obscurity, not in the spotlight. That kind of growth doesn't fade. It multiplies. The more you build in silence, the less you care about competition. You realize your only opponent is yesterday's version of you. You stop watching other people's timelines. You stop comparing platforms. You stay in your lane and master your assignment. That focus creates power that can't be replicated. People may overlook you. They may underestimate you. They may not see the work you're doing, but none of that matters because when your moment comes, it will be undeniable. Not because you shouted, but because you showed. You delivered something real, something solid, something that can't be ignored. Building in silence creates a sense of ownership. You don't rely on others to validate your vision. You don't outsource your confidence. You hold your purpose close, protect it like treasure, and pour your energy into the execution, not the exposure. That's how empires are built, quietly, brick by brick. Every time you choose the work over the noise, you strengthen your vision. You remind yourself that success is not about attention, it's about intention. It's about showing up daily, doing what matters, and letting time reveal the truth of what you've been building all along. Let others talk. Let them post. Let them guess what you're doing. Meanwhile, you keep building. You keep developing your skill, your mindset, your capacity. Because eventually, what you've been working on in silence will make so much noise that even the doubters won't be able to look away. There's a confidence that comes from doing the work without needing a spotlight, a quiet power that grows with every silent step. You don't have to explain. You don't have to announce. You just have to keep moving, keep building, keep becoming. And when the time is right, the results will echo louder than any words ever could.